Let us take a moment to honor the image of a woman walking alone as symbol of strength, courage, and self-mastery. Walking alone is not an act of isolation, it is an act of liberation. It represents her choice to detach from the noise of the world and step into her authentic power. A woman who walks alone embodies a profound sense of inner strength, a strength that transcends societal definitions, external approval, and the roles often imposed upon her. This strength is not something that arrives overnight. It is cultivated through an ongoing journey of self-awareness and resilience. Her ability to walk alone is rooted in the understanding that freedom is not an external state, but an internal one. It begins with a shift in perspective, a realization that she holds the power to define her life, her worth, and her path. In a world that often values connection, relationships, and group identity, the choice to walk alone may seem counterintuitive. Society frequently equates solitude with weakness or lack, especially for women who are often taught to prioritize others over themselves. But for this woman, solitude is not a void, it is a sanctuary. It is a space where she finds clarity, reclaims her energy, and discovers her authentic self. Her inner strength lies in her ability to stand in her truth, even when it challenges the norms and expectations surrounding her. This strength begins to emerge when she stops seeking validation from the world around her. She understands that the constant pursuit of external approval, be it from family, peers, or societal standards, only creates a dependency that limits her growth. Instead, she chooses to validate herself. She learns to trust her instincts, honor her feelings, and set boundaries that protect her peace. This self-validation is not arrogance, it is self-respect. It is a declaration that she is enough, just as she is, without needing to prove her worth to anyone. Her freedom comes from the realization that she is not defined by her circumstances, her past, or even her relationships. These things may shape her, but they do not confine her. She learns to release the weight of expectations, both those imposed by others and those she has internalized over time. This is no small task. It requires her to confront fears, doubts, and insecurities head-on. It demands that she dismantle the limiting beliefs that have been ingrained in her psyche, often for years. But through this process, she discovers the liberating truth. She has the power to rewrite her narrative. Walking alone does not mean isolating herself or rejecting connection. On the contrary, it means choosing to connect on her own terms. She does not seek relationships out of fear of being alone or a need for external validation. Instead, she builds connections that are rooted in mutual respect, shared values, and genuine love. By prioritizing her own growth, she elevates the quality of the relationships she attracts because she no longer operates from a place of lack. Her strength allows her to give freely without losing herself in the process. There is also a deep emotional resilience that comes with walking alone. She becomes intimately familiar with her inner world, her thoughts, emotions, and patterns. This awareness allows her to navigate life's challenges with grace and composure. When difficulties arise, she does not crumble under the pressure. Instead, she turns inward, drawing from the reservoir of strength she has built through self-reflection and growth. She recognizes that challenges are not obstacles but opportunities to evolve. Each setback becomes a lesson, each failure a stepping stone, and each moment of solitude an invitation to deepen her connection with herself. Her inner strength is further amplified by her ability to remain true to her vision, even in the face of criticism or doubt. Walking alone often means going against the grain, stepping outside of comfort zones, and embracing uncertainty. It requires courage to take the less traveled path, especially when others may not understand or support her choices. Yet she perseveres because she knows that her journey is hers alone to walk. She is not afraid to disappoint others if it means staying true to herself. This unwavering commitment to her authenticity is what sets her apart. This inner strength ultimately leads to a profound sense of freedom. By detaching from the need for external validation, she liberates herself from the constraints of societal expectations. She becomes the architect of her own life, guided by her values, passions, and purpose. This freedom is not a destination, but a state of being, a way of living that reflects her inner alignment. It is the freedom to choose, to create, and to thrive on her own terms. A woman who walks alone is a testament to the power of self-reliance and self-discovery. Her inner strength is not just a quality she possesses, it is a practice, a way of life. It is the force that allows her to rise above limitations, transform challenges into opportunities, and step into her full potential. Her journey inspires others to look within, to trust their own power, and to embrace the freedom that comes from walking their own path. Walking alone is a profound metaphor for the journey of self-discovery, a process that requires courage, vulnerability, and an openness to explore the uncharted territories of one's inner world. For the woman who embarks on this path, each step she takes is not merely physical but symbolic of her decision to turn inward, to confront her truths, and to uncover the essence of who she truly is. It is a journey that is both liberating and transformative, requiring her to shed layers of societal conditioning, fear, and self-doubt to reveal the boundless potential that lies within. Self-discovery is not a destination but a lifelong process of becoming. For a woman who walks alone, it begins with a willingness to pause, to embrace stillness, and to listen deeply to the voice within a voice that is often drowned out by the noise of the external world. Solitude becomes her ally, offering her the space to reflect, question, and understand herself on a deeper level. In this sacred space, she begins to discern the difference between who she is and who the world expects her to be. She learns to separate her true desires from the expectations placed upon her by family, culture, or society. This journey of self-discovery is not always easy. It requires her to confront the shadows within the fears, insecurities, and limiting beliefs that have shaped her reality. These are not comfortable confrontations, but they are necessary. By facing these aspects of herself, she gains clarity and begins to dismantle the narratives that no longer serve her. She starts to see that much of what she believed about herself, her worth, her capabilities, her identity, was shaped by external influences rather than her own truth. This realization is the first step toward reclaiming her power. Challenges along the way serve as mirrors, reflecting back to her the areas where she has room to grow. A failed relationship, a career setback, or a moment of loneliness is no longer seen as a limitation but as an opportunity to learn. These moments push her to ask important questions. What do I truly want? What am I afraid of? What am I holding on to that no longer aligns with the person I am becoming? Through this process of inquiry, she discovers that her challenges are not roadblocks but stepping stones, each one guiding her closer to her authentic self. Walking alone teaches her that self-discovery is not about finding something external. It is about uncovering what has always been there. It is a peeling away of layers to reveal her inherent wisdom, creativity, and strength. As she journeys deeper, she starts to recognize the patterns that have governed her life, patterns of thought, behavior, and emotion that were often unconscious. She begins to take ownership of these patterns, understanding that she has the power to change them. This ownership marks a turning point in her journey. She realizes that she is not a passive participant in her life, but an active creator of her reality. The act of walking alone also allows her to reconnect with her intuition, that inner compass that guides her toward her true path. In a world that often values logic over intuition, she learns to trust her gut feelings and listen to the whispers of her soul. This trust is built through practice as she observes how her intuition consistently leads her toward alignment and fulfillment. The more she trusts herself, the more empowered she becomes to make decisions that honor her values and aspirations. She begins to see her life as a canvas and herself as the artist. She is no longer bound by the rules or expectations of others. Instead, she creates her own rules, guided by her vision and her inner truth. This creative process is deeply liberating as she realizes that she has the power to design a life that reflects her unique essence. Her dreams, once suppressed or dismissed, become vivid and attainable. Her passions, once sidelined, take center stage. She begins to live with a sense of purpose and alignment that was previously out of reach. As she walks alone, she also discovers the beauty of self-compassion. She learns to embrace her imperfections and celebrate her progress, no matter how small. She understands that self-discovery is not about achieving perfection, but about embracing wholeness, the light and the dark, the strengths and the vulnerabilities. This acceptance of herself as she is becomes a source of profound inner peace and confidence. The journey of self-discovery transforms her from the inside out. She emerges with a deeper understanding of who she is and what she stands for. She is no longer defined by external factors, her past, her relationships, her achievements, but by her connection to her authentic self. This connection becomes the foundation for everything she does, influencing her choices, her relationships, and her way of being in the world. Walking alone, she realizes, is not an act of loneliness, but an act of self-love. It is a declaration that she is worthy of knowing herself fully and living a life that is true to her. In discovering herself, she unlocks the infinite possibilities that exist within her, stepping into a reality where she is free to create, to grow, and to thrive on her own terms. Breaking the chains of conditioning is one of the most powerful acts a woman who walks alone can undertake. This is not merely an act of rebellion or rejection of the world. It is a deliberate and courageous decision to reclaim her autonomy and reshape her life based on her authentic self. The chains of conditioning, often invisible yet deeply ingrained, are made up of societal expectations, cultural norms, familial pressures, and internalized beliefs that dictate how she should behave, what she should desire, and who she should desire, and who she should. For a woman walking alone, breaking these chains is the first step toward true freedom. Conditioning begins subtly, often from a very young age. Through words, actions, and societal norms, she is taught what it means to be acceptable. Perhaps she learns to prioritize others' needs over her own, to be agreeable even at the expense of her truth, or to conform to roles that stifle her individuality. These lessons are rarely questioned because they become part of her worldview. They operate in the background, shaping her decisions, her relationships, and even her self-perception. But for the woman who walks alone, there comes a moment of awakening, a moment when she begins to see these patterns for what they are, limits placed on her by the world, not truths about who she is. This awakening is both liberating and unsettling. To break the chains of conditioning, she must first recognize them. This requires a deep level of self-awareness and honesty. She must ask herself hard questions. Why do I believe this about myself? Where did this belief come from? Does this serve me or does it hold me back? These questions lead her to confront the roots of her conditioning, often uncovering layers of inherited beliefs passed down through generations or absorbed from societal structures that benefit from her compliance. As she begins to dismantle these limiting beliefs, she discovers that many of them were designed to keep her small, quiet, and dependent. They were not created to empower her, but to fit her into a predefined mold. The realization that these beliefs are not truths but constructs is profoundly freeing. She begins to understand that she has the power to unlearn what no longer serves her and to replace those beliefs with ones that reflect her values, her vision, and her authentic self. This process of breaking free is not without its challenges. Conditioning often comes with emotional weight, fear, guilt, and a sense of obligation. She may fear disappointing others or stepping into the unknown. She may feel guilty for prioritizing her own needs or for rejecting traditions that no longer resonate with her. These emotions are natural, but they are not insurmountable. By facing them head-on, she learns to navigate the discomfort that comes with growth. She realizes that the pain of staying confined is far greater than the temporary discomfort of breaking free. As she sheds these layers of conditioning, she begins to reclaim her voice. This voice may have been silenced or ignored for years, but now it emerges with strength and clarity. She learns to express her needs, to assert her boundaries, and to stand firmly in her truth. This is not an act of defiance, but an act of self-respect. She no longer compromises her authenticity for the sake of fitting in or gaining approval. Instead, she lives in alignment with her values and desires, unapologetically embracing who she is. Breaking the chains of conditioning also allows her to redefine success on her own terms. No longer bound by societal metrics of achievement or fulfillment, she creates a vision for her life that resonates with her deepest passions and purpose. For some, this may mean pursuing a creative dream that others dismissed as impractical. For others, it may mean choosing a path of simplicity, connection, or spiritual growth that defies conventional expectations. Whatever her path, it is hers to define, and she walks it with confidence and conviction. This journey of liberation is not just about personal transformation, it is also about creating a ripple effect. When a woman breaks free from her conditioning, she becomes a beacon of possibility for others. She shows those around her, friends, family, and even strangers, that it is possible to live authentically, to challenge the status quo, and to thrive outside the confines of societal norms. Her courage inspires others to question their own beliefs and to consider what might be possible if they, too, chose to walk their own path. Breaking the chains of conditioning is an act of reclaiming power. It is a declaration that she is no longer a passive participant in her life, but an active creator of her reality. She understands that the narratives she was handed are not the ones she has to live by. She chooses instead to write her own story, one that is rooted in self-awareness, freedom, and truth. This story is not bound by fear, expectation, or limitation. It is a story of expansion, of stepping into her full potential, and of living a life that reflects who she truly is. For the woman who walks alone, breaking free from conditioning is a transformative process that allows her to rise into her power. It is not an easy path, but it is a path worth walking. With every chain she breaks, she moves closer to her essence, her purpose, and her freedom. She becomes not just a woman who walks alone, but a woman who walks empowered, unshackled, and unapologetically herself. Mastery over emotions and the mind is one of the most profound lessons a woman learns as she walks alone. In the stillness of solitude, she begins to understand that her internal state holds the key to her external reality. The world often teaches us to look outward for solutions, to fix circumstances, and to seek external validation to find happiness or fulfillment. But for the woman on this path, the realization dawns that true power comes not from controlling the external world, but from mastering the internal world, but from mastering the internal one. It is this mastery that enables her to navigate life with grace, resilience, and purpose. This journey begins with awareness. To master her emotions and mind, she must first understand them. In solitude, she creates the space to observe her thoughts and feelings without judgment. She learns to notice the patterns that emerge, how her mind reacts to stress, how certain situations trigger her, and how her emotions can sometimes take control of her actions. These moments of observation are transformative because they shift her from being reactive to being reflective. She begins to see her mind not as something that dictates her reality, but as a tool she can learn to use effectively. She discovers are neither good nor bad. They are simply signals, messages from within, designed to guide her toward greater self-awareness. Fear, anger, sadness, joy, and love all have their purpose. Fear, for instance, might point to an area where she feels vulnerable or uncertain. Anger might highlight a boundary that has been crossed. Sadness can lead her to explore unresolved grief or unmet needs. By embracing these emotions rather than resisting them, she gains a deeper understanding of herself. She learns that emotions are not meant to control her, but to inform her. Mastery over emotions does not mean suppressing them or pretending they do not exist. It means allowing herself to feel fully while maintaining a sense of agency. When faced with intense emotions, she pauses instead of reacting impulsively. She breathes, reflects, and asks herself what the emotion is trying to teach her. This process of self-inquiry allows her to respond thoughtfully rather than react instinctively. Over time, she becomes adept at regulating her emotional state, choosing responses that align with her values and long-term goals rather than being swayed by temporary feelings. The mind, too, becomes an area of focus. She begins to see how her thoughts shape her perceptions and, in turn, her reality. Negative thought patterns such as self-doubt, fear of failure, or catastrophizing are no longer accepted as truths. She learns to challenge these thoughts, replacing them with empowering ones that support her growth and aspirations. This mental discipline requires practice, but with time she develops a mindset that is rooted in possibility, resilience, and self-belief. One of the most powerful shifts she experiences is the realization that she is not her thoughts. Thoughts come and go like clouds passing through the sky, but they do not define her. This awareness allows her to detach from unhelpful narratives her mind might create. She no longer identifies with thoughts of inadequacy, fear, or comparison. Instead, she observes them with curiosity and chooses which thoughts to nurture. This ability to detach and reframe her thinking becomes a cornerstone of her mental mastery. She also develops tools and practices that support her emotional and mental balance. Meditation, journaling, and mindfulness become allies in her journey. Through meditation, she learns to quiet the mind, to find stillness amidst the chaos, and to connect with her inner essence. Journaling provides an outlet for self-expression, a space where she can explore her emotions and thoughts freely. Mindfulness teaches her to stay present, to engage fully with the moment rather than being lost in past regrets or future worries. These practices help her build a foundation of inner peace and clarity that she carries into her daily life. Mastery over emotions in the mind also allows her to approach challenges with resilience. Life's obstacles no longer feel insurmountable because she understands that her reaction to them is within her control. Instead of being overwhelmed by difficulties, she approaches them with a problem-solving mindset. She asks herself, what can I learn from this? How can I grow? What is the best way forward? This perspective transforms challenges from sources of frustration into opportunities for growth. As she gains mastery over her internal world, she begins to notice a ripple effect in her external reality. Relationships improve because she communicates with clarity and empathy, rather than reacting from a place of unprocessed emotion. Goals become more attainable because her focused mind allows her to take consistent, aligned action. She attracts opportunities and connections that resonate with her higher self because she is no longer held back by limiting beliefs or emotional turbulence. This mastery is not about achieving perfection. It is about cultivating awareness, balance, and intentionality. It is about knowing that while she cannot control every circumstance, she can always control her response. This understanding gives her a profound sense of freedom and empowerment. She no longer feels at the mercy of her emotions or circumstances. Instead, she moves through life with confidence, clarity, and a deep sense of inner peace. For the woman who walks alone, mastering her emotions and mind becomes one of her greatest strengths. It allows her to stand firmly in her power to navigate life's complexities with wisdom and to create a reality that reflects her deepest values and desires. Through this mastery, she becomes a beacon of calm amidst chaos, a creator of her destiny, and a living testament to the transformative power of inner work. A woman who walks alone discovers that her journey is not just a path of independence, but also a profound reconnection with her intuition and the wisdom that resides deep within her. In a world dominated by logic, external validation, and constant noise, intuition often becomes an underutilized or overlooked resource. Yet, for the woman walking her own path, intuition becomes her most trusted guide, a quiet but powerful voice that leads her toward clarity, alignment, and purpose. This reconnection with her intuitive nature is transformative, offering her a sense of inner alignment that no external source can provide. Intuition is often described as a gut feeling, an inner knowing, or a sense of clarity that defies logical explanation. It is not something external that she has to acquire. It is something she was born with, a natural part of her being. However, years of conditioning, societal expectations, and distractions may have dulled her ability to hear it. The act of walking alone provides her with the space and stillness she needs to tune back into this inner wisdom. In solitude, she learns to distinguish the voice of her intuition from the noise of fear, doubt, and external influences. This reconnection with intuition begins with trust. At first, she might doubt whether she can rely on her inner guidance, especially if she has spent years second-guessing herself or seeking validation from others. But as she begins to pay attention to her feelings, her instincts, and her inner voice, she notices how often they guide her toward the right choices. Each time she follows her intuition and sees the positive outcomes it brings, her trust in herself deepens. This trust becomes a cornerstone of her journey, empowering her to make decisions that align with her truth rather than seeking approval or validation from the outside world. Reconnecting with intuition also requires her to slow down. In the fast-paced, achievement-driven culture she may have been conditioned to navigate, there is often little room for stillness or reflection. Yet, intuition speaks in whispers, not shouts. To hear it, she must create space, moments of quiet where she can tune into her inner world. Practices like meditation, journaling, or simply spending time in nature become essential tools in her journey. These practices help her quiet the mind, settle her emotions, and create a receptive state where her intuition can surface. As she listens more closely to her intuition, she begins to notice how it manifests in her life. Sometimes it comes as a feeling, a sense of peace when she's making a decision that aligns with her values, or a sense of unease when something is off. Other times it shows up as synchronicity, signs, or recurring patterns that guide her attention to what matters most. She learns to trust these subtle cues, understanding that they are her inner compass pointing her toward her true path. Over time, her intuition becomes a dialogue, a conversation between her conscious mind and her deeper knowing. This reconnection with intuition also transforms how she approaches challenges. Instead of viewing obstacles as insurmountable, she sees them as opportunities to learn and grow. When faced with uncertainty, she doesn't rush to find external answers. Instead, she turns inward, trusting that her intuition will guide her to the next step. This inner guidance does not always provide a complete roadmap, but it offers her the clarity she needs to take the first step. She learns to embrace the unknown, trusting that as long as she follows her intuition, she will find her way. The wisdom she reconnects with is not just about decision-making, it is also deeply connected to her sense of purpose and identity. Through intuition, she taps into her passions, her desires, and her unique gifts. She begins to uncover what truly matters to her, what lights her up, and what she is here to contribute to the world. This inner wisdom helps her strip away the layers of expectations and societal norms that may have obscured her true self. She no longer feels the need to conform or fit into a mold. Instead, she embraces her individuality and creates a life that reflects her essence. Reconnecting with intuition also deepens her relationships, but in a way that feels more aligned and fulfilling. Because she is in tune with herself, she becomes more discerning about the people she surrounds herself with. She no longer enters relationships out of fear, obligation, or loneliness. Instead, she chooses connections that resonate with her values and bring out the best in her. Her intuition helps her recognize authenticity in others, allowing her to build relationships that are meaningful and reciprocal. Perhaps most importantly, this reconnection with intuition empowers her to take bold, inspired action in her life. She no longer waits for permission, validation, or guarantee. She understands that her intuition is a source of limitless potential, guiding her toward opportunities that she might not have dared to pursue before. This courage to act from intuition becomes a defining feature of her journey. It allows her to take risks, embrace her dreams, and create a life that is uniquely her own. Through this reconnection, she realizes that intuition is not separate from her but an integral part of who she is. It is the bridge between her inner world and the infinite possibilities of the universe. By listening to her intuition, she aligns herself with a flow that feels effortless and natural. She becomes deeply rooted in her truth, confident in her ability to navigate whatever comes her way. Her journey is no longer driven by fear or uncertainty, but by a deep sense of trust in herself and the wisdom that guides her. The path of walking alone reveals to a woman that true empowerment arises when she embraces the infinite possibilities of her individuality. For much of her life, she may have been taught to conform, to blend in, or to define herself by external roles and expectations. But as she steps into her own space and begins to chart her own course, she discovers that her individuality is not something to suppress or minimize. It is a boundless source of strength, creativity, and transformation. In embracing her uniqueness, she unlocks the limitless potential within her, creating a life that is not only authentic, but also profoundly fulfilling. This journey begins with a shift in perspective. The world often celebrates sameness, promoting templates for how a woman should live, think, or succeed. These templates may feel safe, but they are also restrictive, leaving little room for personal expression or exploration. When a woman walks alone, she steps outside these predefined structures and begins to see the vast expanse of possibility before her. She realizes that she is not confined to one way of being or one path in life. Instead, she has the freedom to explore, to experiment, and to redefine herself as many times as she needs to. As she embraces her individuality, she starts to uncover the unique gifts and talents that set her apart. These gifts may have been hidden or undervalued in environments that prioritize conformity, but in the solitude of her journey, she has the space to explore her passions and interests without judgment. She begins to see that what makes her different is not a weakness, but a strength. Her quirks, her perspective, her story, all of these contribute to the richness of who she is. By owning her individuality, she gives herself permission to shine in ways she may have once feared. This process of self-discovery is deeply empowering because it shifts her focus from external validation to internal fulfillment. She no longer seeks approval from others to feel worthy or accomplished. Instead, she measures her success by her own standards, guided by her intuition and inner truth. This shift liberates her from the pressure to fit in or meet expectations that do not align with her values. She realizes that the only person she needs to impress is herself. This realization allows her to pursue her goals and dreams with unwavering confidence and authenticity. Embracing infinite possibilities also means challenging limitations, both external and internal. Along her journey, she may encounter societal barriers, cultural norms, or outdated beliefs that attempt to define what she can or cannot achieve. But as she steps into her power, she begins to question these limitations. She asks herself, who decided this? Is this true for me? What would happen if I chose differently? Through this questioning, she dismantles the narratives that have kept her small, replacing them with ones that reflect her boundless potential. She learns to recognize and overcome self-imposed limitations. These may come in the form of self-doubt, fear of failure, or a reluctance to take risks. Instead of allowing these fears to dictate her actions, she reframes them as opportunities for growth. She understands that every challenge she faces is a chance to expand her capabilities and deepen her self-belief. With each step she takes outside her comfort zone, she becomes more attuned to the vast reservoir of strength and resilience within her. She begins to see herself not as someone who is limited by circumstances, but as someone who can shape her reality. As she embraces her individuality, she also discovers the power of creative expression. She realizes that life itself is a creative act, and she is the artist of her own existence. Whether through her career, relationships, passions, or personal projects, she begins to infuse her unique essence into everything she does. This creativity is not about perfection or comparison. It is about bringing her authentic self into the world in a way that feels true and meaningful. She finds joy in the process of creating, knowing that her expression is a reflection of her individuality. This embrace of infinite possibilities extends to how she views the world around her. No longer bound by rigid definitions or fixed outcomes, she approaches life with curiosity and openness. She understands that each moment is an opportunity to learn, grow, and evolve. She becomes adaptable, willing to change course when needed, and unafraid to explore new paths. This flexibility allows her to navigate uncertainty with grace, trusting that the possibilities before her are endless and that she has the power to choose the ones that align with her highest self. In embracing her individuality, she also inspires others to do the same. Her courage to walk her own path serves as a powerful reminder that authenticity is not only possible but also liberating. She becomes a role model, showing others that they too can break free from societal molds and embrace their unique gifts. Her journey creates a ripple effect, encouraging those around her to explore their potential and live in alignment with their truth. The woman who walks alone discovers that individuality is not a limitation but a gateway to infinite possibilities. By embracing who she truly is, she opens herself up to a life of freedom, fulfillment, and creative expression. She understands that her uniqueness is her superpower, a force that allows her to navigate the world with confidence and purpose. With every step she takes, she affirms her commitment to living authentically, to exploring her potential, and to creating a life that reflects the boundless possibilities within her. In doing so, she becomes not just a woman who walks alone, but a woman who walks empowered, unafraid, and fully alive. In conclusion, the journey of a woman who walks alone is not one of isolation, but of profound transformation. It is a path of courage, where she chooses to break free from the chains of conditioning, embrace the power of her individuality, and reconnect with her intuition and inner wisdom. As she learns to master her emotions and mind, she discovers a deep well of strength within herself, one that allows her to rise above fear, self-doubt, and societal expectations. Every step she takes is a testament to her resilience and her commitment to living authentically, guided by her truth rather than external validation. Her journey is not linear or without challenges, but it is one of infinite possibility. It is a path that empowers her to create, redefine, and expand her life in ways that honor her uniqueness. In walking alone, she is never truly alone. She is accompanied by the clarity of her vision, the strength of her spirit, and the quiet yet powerful voice of her intuition. She becomes a force of nature, unapologetically herself and fully aligned with her purpose. Her journey is an inspiration not just for herself, but for others who witness her transformation. She shows the world that walking alone is not an act of separation, but one of profound connection to self and to life's boundless opportunities. She embodies the truth that when a woman chooses to walk her own path, she doesn't just find her way, she creates it, and in doing so, she reclaims her power, her freedom, and her infinite potential.